Attorney General Martha Coakley. With me this morning on my right is Assistant Attorney General April English, our Division Chief for Consumer Protection, our Bureau Chief for Public Protection and Advocacy, Jeff Clements. On my left is our Division Chief, Christopher Barry Smith for Consumer Protection, and Assistant Attorney General Diane Lawton. Today, 39 states, including Massachusetts at the lead of this investigation, announce a comprehensive settlement for $12 million and essentially a strict liability agreement with Mattel and its subsidiary Fisher-Price around lead in toys and products that are sold in the United States. That has to do with an investigation that began well over a year ago in August of 2007, when it came to the attention of those in the United States, including the Consumer Product Safety Commission, that over 2 million toys, we believed, had entered the United States for sale in a U.S. market that contained unacceptable levels of lead. And for reference, let me say at the outset that we believe now that these toys have been recalled, they are not on the market, that any parents or other purchasers of the toys we're about to discuss should feel comfortable that those toys are safe. There is a number that people can reach if they want to check the SKU number, but we believe the dangerous toys have been recalled. That's the good news. The good news also is that we were able to determine in these toys, and again, looking to the chart here, you can see they ranged from a bedtime Dora the Explorer to the Sarge die-cast toy car, as well as very popular toys, the Barbie Dreamhouse Puppy Planet and the Kitty Planet. On all of those toys, there was either surface paint or what we call substrate paint underneath the surface that contained high levels of lead, precisely because the lead used in preparing these toys in Asia, mostly in the Chinese market, were well above what at that time was acceptable in the United States, and we have since enforced more stringent standards. To give you some idea, in Massachusetts state law now, the acceptable level of lead is 600, what we call parts per million. And if you look at that truck and you look at Dora, you can see that the amount of lead in those products was several thousands times above a safety level. One thing that's really important to understand is that there are no levels of safe lead for children or for pets for that matter. And so children who chew on, who had exposure to lead, as we know, since the 70s through our enforcement of lead in housing, it is extremely important that we have no levels of lead that children can have access to. The risks are just too high. The good news, again, the toys were recalled. We're not aware of from ingestion on chewing on these toys, with one exception in Minnesota that was a different situation. We are not aware of any instances where children in fact ingested or were subject to harm. We are pleased that this result and the agreement by Mattel and Fisher-Price will result in much more safer standards, and the United States has a new law going into effect in February of 2007 that also imposes higher standards. It is of interest, though, that it was the states together who were able to begin an investigation, look through thousands of documents, which our team with others around the country were able to do, and reach this agreement as a group with the sellers of these toys. The $12 million will be divided among the states. Massachusetts is the recipient of $625 million. 500,000 of that will be used for lead prevention, and we're pleased that we're able to work with the Department of Public Health in preparing for several ways in which across the Commonwealth we can increase awareness about the dangers of lead paint, and we can do more in preventing lead paint ingestion. We are working with John Auerbach and the Department of Public Health to issue grants that will be used in community groups across Massachusetts to test homes or toys to determine presence of lead, to increase the number of referrals of children who are determined to have exposure to lead, and to increase lead poisoning awareness through education and outreach. We think it's a fair and just result. Again, I stress that We're not aware that any children were actually exposed to this, but it does raise the larger question as we are engaged in a global market, we are engaged in selling particularly of toys or other items that children have access to, that both the federal and the state governments need to be vigilant to make sure that we do not have increased risks to our children and to other members of our population. The new standards under the agreement will be 90 parts per million, much lower than even the federal standard, and we think it is acceptable. We appreciate that Mattel and Fisher-Price agreed to subject themselves to this, and as a practical matter, should there be any violation of this, Massachusetts and the states involved in this will be able to enforce this agreement on a strict liability basis. I'll be happy to take questions if anybody has them. Yes?